What's up, guys? Back here again to make another video to talk about some more of the lockout stuff. Since I'm on the roll for making content, let's keep making content. So the deadline came and went. The deadline came and went for this CBA negotiation, having to get done by Monday. So Monday comes around, and the Players Association and the MLB met for 16 hours, and everything we saw, we all thought that a deal was going to be made, that we were not going to miss any games. They met for 16 hours. Progress was made, but there was still that little sliver of doubt because we kept hearing that there was some issues that the MLBPA and the MLB were still far apart on. Biggest thing was the arbitration pool and the CBT threshold. Now, they extended the deadline into Tuesday till 5 o'clock. I thought for sure that they were going to start bargaining by 11:30 noon. They didn't even start bargaining until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the deadline was set hard 5 because they didn't want to be there again until 2 o'clock in the morning. And I think they thought that the deal was so close that they were only going to have to be there for that, 6-hour, 7-hour span. Such is not the case. Deadline comes and goes. The MLB delivers their best and final offer. Now, Rob Manfred backtracked on that and said it was their best and final offer before the deadline, before they had to cancel games. So now, we as baseball fans get screwed out of the first two series. Spring training is nowhere to be even close to started because now this whole week is come and gone. They met one more time for an informal meeting on Thursday where no formal offers were made. The MLB is saying that the ball is in the PA's court. And I think the MLB really thought that they were gonna be able to slip some stuff into this bargaining agreement at the very end and get a couple more things out of it, and the union was just going to agree to it. Now, the biggest thing, and the thing I really want to touch on in this video, is that the CBT is one of the biggest hang-ups that's going on. Now, the CBT, how the MLB proposed it, they don't want to come up off of 220. And the Players Association wants to go to 230, I think, with 4 or 5% increases every single year. Now, when they submitted their best and final offer, they had it at 220 for the first 3 years and only went up a couple $1 million every single year till the end of the CBA, of that CBA they were bargaining for. And the Players Association, every single player that was a part of the union, all agreed to not accept that offer. It was an outright no. And here is what is absolutely making me mad and how this pertains to the Tigers in this video. The CBT is not anything that the owners have to spend. They could agree to a 270 CBT, and the owners don't have to even get close to that. Now, just because I get the whole premise of it is they want teams that can spend all this money to be able to go and get penalized for being at the upper echelon of the payrolls. And players want teams who are going to be at the upper echelon of the payrolls to continue to be up there and continue to add guys to continue to push salaries up. But the other teams who don't compete at that level, they don't want it to continue to go up because it's going to give more teams other room to continue to spend more than them and put more competitive teams out there. They want it to stay low so they can stay within whatever. But here's the thing. They're only asking for $10 million more. That's a crappy mid-level veteran that is not even that great, or a couple of bench bats that you're paying a couple $1 million a year. $10 million is not that much. It's not like you're asking for a $50 million increase and you're going to have someone that you could add to your payroll like Max Scherzer or Bryce Harper, where you're going to pay them upwards of $35 million a year. So the fact that they're getting their nuts in a bunch over $10 million is a joke. And why this is a stopping point and why we're missing games now, we're not going to have opening day on time and we're still not even in spring training yet, it's a joke. These lower market teams are holding this hostage. And now a lot of people need to realize this. As much as I don't like Rob Manfred and I think he's bad for the sport, I don't like it's not all on Rob Manfred. Rob Manfred works for the owners. You have to understand something when you're going into a negotiation. Not only do the owners have to come up with a proposal for, they have to come up with a proposal that they get 3/4 of the vote that all the owners agree to. And in that 3/4, you have discrepancies between someone like the Dodgers and someone like the A's. They have to think about this. A large market team has to be able to agree with a mid-market team and a small market team on something that they're going to all agree to for spending, taxation, what they're going to agree to for payroll increases, minimum salary increases, because they all have to abide by this. So it's not like Manfred's in the room saying you have to do this. It's the owners amongst themselves that have to bargain with one another, agree to something, to then give a proposal to the players. And it's these lower market owners that are holding this all hostage, that don't want to agree to a $10 million increase. So it's not Rob Manfred's fault per se. Where I think the blame falls on Rob Manfred is that he's got the owners so much power with these last couple CBAs he's bargained with the players for, that the owners now don't want to relinquish it. And like I said, it's Manfred is just a mouthpiece for the owners, but he could have at least done more to get these negotiations pushed along quicker, and that they don't really only bargain on the 28th of March 1st after having 90 days of, 15-minute meetings and BS 1-hour Zoom calls. Now, here's where I am absolutely infuriated with the Detroit Tigers. And the point of this video and what the title is going to say in this video: Detroit Tigers, you are a joke. Chris Ilitch, to sit here and be one of the 4 owners that voted against the CBT increase, is a joke. Detroit is not a small market team. You are not a small market. The Ilitches own the Tigers. The Ilitches own Hockeytown. The Ilitches own the Fox Theater. The Ilitches own Little Caesars. The Ilitches own the Red Wings. They have so much money they can afford 2 different sets of payroll within 2 professional teams. The fact that Chris Ilitch is going to sit here and vote against a $10 million increase for the CBT is a joke. You are not a small market team. You decided to cut payroll because you wanted to go against how your dad built teams. You decided that you didn't want to keep adding high-priced free agents and keep adding a payroll to your team. The Tigers used to be a top 5 to 7 payroll team every single year in the MLB. They were top 4 at one time. Back when they had Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, Justin Verlander, all on the same roster. Torrey Hunter, they paid him a good little amount of money for a couple of years. You were at one time one of the bigger payrolls in the MLB. You are not a team that a $10 million increase when your payroll is amongst the bottom third of the league now, that a $10 million increase in the CBT is going to do anything to affect your team. You don't have to pay that $10 million. You're not even close to the threshold, for one. 2, you can more than goddamn afford it, being a team that was a former top 5 payroll in the MLB for a good 6 to 7 years. Oh, and let's not forget when they added Justin Upton, too, to that crop of guys. You're not even close to the threshold. You're not going to spend close to the threshold. Adding $10 million to the threshold does nothing when you have a bulk of your team is nothing but young guys, and you still have young guys on the farm that are coming up that are going to be on your roster. They have cut so much payroll that literally their only contract obligation of any kind of sort of money is Miguel Cabrera, and that falls off next year. Their payroll is well under $100 million. That $10 million that you're bargaining for, that you don't want to give up, Chris Ilitch, that you're a nay vote, is a joke. An absolute joke. And he should be ashamed that he's one of the 4 owners that voted against it. because it does not affect them. Your market size does not correlate with you needing at $10 million to really be anything. You're not competing right now. You're not a World Series contender, even if you had all that stuff, that payroll obligation. You're not even close to the threshold. You have Little Caesars, Hockey Town, Fox Theater, not to mention all that other crap when they just bought all those buildings out and knocked it down for all the parking that they get for the LCA and all that other BS. You own the Red Wings. You just built 2 stadiums in the last 20 years. Why Chris Ilitch is going to sit here and vote against this CBT increase and be one of the people that are holding this up to get a deal done, to be one of the people that are going to keep us that are now keeping us from having opening day on time, is a joke. When your payroll is under $100 million, when you have no players besides Miguel Cabrera making any kind of money, all your free agents that you've been signing the last couple of years have been guys that are making under $15 million, or you're signing to 1 to 2 year deals with opt-outs that you could get rid of them, like the Nomar Mazara signing or the Tyson Ross signing. Robbie Grossman was really the only guy you gave a multi-year contract to. He was one of the first free agents you gave a multi-year contract to in forever. You sign guys like Josh Harrison, Jordy Mercer, Matt Moore. Come on, Chris Ilitch. Don't sit here and play poor that you need to be one of the owners against the CBT threshold increasing when you're not even close to the threshold, when your payroll isn't even close to the threshold, and you're not even a $100 million team, and you have all this other stuff between Little Caesars, Fox Theater, all your businesses, Hockey Town, the Red Wings, BS. And as a Tigers fan, you should be in absolute uproar like I am that he was one of the owners that voted against it, and he is one of the owners that kept the CBA from happening, because they know how important this is to the players of getting a CBT increase. It's been one of the things that they've been said since the beginning, the threshold and the arbitration pool. That has been one of the 2 major things since the start of this in December that the players have all equally said were the 2 of the biggest issues that they are bargaining for and they want increased. The threshold and the arbitration pool. And now here we are, 2 series gone. I don't even know when they're going to start bargaining again. Hopefully this weekend, or hopefully start on next week, because they go to this time next week, more games are going to be gone. And this was my thing with my last video. Like I said, the owners don't care about losing early games in April. They can miss up to 25 games and not have to give money back for the TV deals. And the first month is not their most economic growth month. It's their lowest revenue month out of any of the months. They want expanded playoffs, which they got 12, and now the MLBPA might vote it up to 14 after they agreed on 12, because I guarantee you MLB is trying to get them up to 14, and then they'll agree to increase the CBT. And the stupidest thing in on all this is the owners don't have to even spend that $10 million extra. Like, literally, the bottom third of the league that has a sub-$100 million payroll, it does nothing for you. And if you're a team that's right on the precipice, that $10 million doesn't even make your team that much better. It's like you're literally, the Players Association is fighting for a mid-level veteran to get a contract. That's it. It makes no sense. What they should be fighting for is a bigger arbitration pool to get more younger guys paid. The fact that this is a thing that is keeping baseball from being played and continuing on and being on time is a joke, because it doesn't even affect that much from what they're currently at. It is absolutely stupid. But when I found out that Chris Ilitch was one of the people that voted against it, it brought my blood to a boil, because they are not a poor team. This is not a poor market. This is not a market that should be getting collections of being paid into, when the Ilitches have all the money they have and all the tax dollars that they've used to put into building those stadiums and bringing the downtown to what it is. They are not a poor team, and he is not a poor owner. So that is an absolute joke. And he is one of the reasons why baseball has not gone on. Like I said, people want to blame Rob Manfred, and he has some blame to be to put on his shoulders because, you know, how the negotiations went and the time frame of it. He could have definitely helped sped things up within him because he's just the mouthpiece for the owners. But it's these small market owners are crying small market, like the Angels were one of them, and it's a joke that Artie Moreno as well is going to be a guy that's going to vote against the CBT increase when he signed over the last decade. Albert Pujols, Trout to a $400 million contract, Josh Hamilton, Anthony Rendon. Come on now. You're not a poor team either, Anaheim. You can afford what the luxury threshold increase would be. That's a joke as well with how much Justin Upton was another one. They paid Justin Upton too, like the Tigers did. So, that Tiger fans, the fact that we don't have baseball right now and one of our owner of our team was one of the dudes, and we know as Tiger fans, you guys aren't stupid, especially the guys that watch my videos, the few people that watch all my stuff. You guys aren't dumb. You know how much this team used to spend, and you know what kind of franchise we used to be, and you know what kind of caliber player used to be on this roster. And for one of our owner to be one of the four that voted against this CBT increase, that's a joke. And it's a shame that he's going to sit here and cry poor when the Illiches are worth the kind of money they're worth. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully we get they bargain this week. And if they get a deal done, I'll be back on here to talk about it. And we're going to start doing some Tigers preview stuff. So I got for you guys today. Have a good one.